today we're asking two normal cooks if they can pick the premium, a favourite game but with a twist. No blindfolds, but with cooking.
Ooh, this is interesting.
Yeah, we're mixing it up. Let's see where it takes us.
Hopefully to 1 million views.
Number 1 is under both cloches, A and B.
Oh. Okay, right, yes. Bacon, baby.
Yeah, you're right, it's bacon. All we need you to do is work out which is the premium. Now, first we're going to use our eyes and have a sniff and a poke, but actually the key today is how do these ingredients behave when we cook them. So you also have two identical sized pans on identical heats that you can then cook the bacon identically to see if you can pick the premium.
Interestingly, even just raw, there are a lot of differences.
Yeah, this one has taken what I call the best bit off.
The rind.
Well, the end bit, the tail of the back bacon.
The belly part.
Which has all the fat and it gets extra crispy in the oven. That's not on there, which I think is a shame.
Right, if you put both pans onto the same heat and put 3 or 4 rashers or whatever will fit into each pan, and we'll see how they behave in the pan. What are you expecting?
I'm expecting the cheaper cut to, I was going to say excrete, but that's disgusting, to leak water.
We're going to boil the cheap bacon.
Yeah.
It's generally what happens.
And actually, I've learned as a tip, don't put oil in your pan with bacon, just a splash of water.
Oh.
Helps it stop sticking and it helps render the fat out first, because it only goes crispy once the fat is rendered out and it cooks in its own fat.
Yes.
Cooking tips. You guys say we never do them anymore. There was one.
You're welcome.
We're going to ask you, as always, to choose A or B to pick the premium later on. Just off the bat, any feelers?
There's a big difference in how they look in terms of uniformity.
I was drawn to A first as the premium because I went, that's not the bacon I usually buy. It looks like you picked supposedly the best bit and it's been trimmed, it looks like it's been treated or been loved a bit more. But then even with B, these are bigger cuts there and it has more marbling through it.
Pans are nice and warm now. Let's get a few rashers into each.
In this pick the premium, obviously there's a premium, but how basic is the lower end one?
One of these is 7 times more expensive than the other.
7? Wow. 7 times?
So what happens with often cheaper bacon, these are brushstroke comments, but water, sometimes with some salt and or sugar, is injected into the bacon. Now what that does is increase the volume and the plumpness of what you're buying. So you're basically buying up to, there is a limit, 10% water. However, as you said, that does then need to leach out and render out. Some of the proteins will come with it, which is where the white bits kind of go a bit gunky. And that does kind of need to cook off before it can go crispy. Both bacon is now cooked. Let's look at the difference.
Interesting.
Oh, this game is about cooking, not eating, so we can't eat it before we guess.
Jamie, do you want to be in the video? We're going to cook some bacon. Sounds good. Can't wait to eat it.
Not yet.
Not yet.
So you've now seen it raw. You've seen how it behaves in identical pans and how it cooks. A has got a bit more colour on it and a bit more char. B, slightly thicker cut, maybe slightly more irregular, slightly more marbled in fat, but definitely wetter. Lock in A or B. Which do you think is the premium?
B. It's more gammon-like. It's thicker.
Yeah.
It's a better. If I saw that in the supermarket, I think I'd be tempted to go for B.
Reveal the boards in 3, 2, 1.
A.
You've both locked in A.
For me, B has all the hallmarks of supermarket bacon, box standard, nothing special. A has something a little bit different about it, and
I can reveal that in this first round, the premium is A. You are both correct.
Okay.
Right.
So, we do know something.
The cheaper option, B, is Just Essentials by Asda. It is 87% pork. And the rest is a water injection and preservatives.
I'm about 87% pork as well, I think.
Whereas A, the one you chose, which is the premium, is Dalesford Organic Outdoor Reared Unsmoked Back Bacon. And you're right, they have trimmed off that kind of fatty nibbly end, which is kind of more into pork belly realm, to give you just that premium, very thinly sliced, very regularly sliced loin, essentially. And as a comparison, Daylesford is 96%.
What I find really interesting, I think this happens with a lot of meat that you buy. There are some very distinct differences in terms of the quality that you can see, smell, and taste. And then there is also another side of it that you can't see, smell, taste, but you have to trust. That you have to trust it's been reared better, and that it's got that sourceability through it. And they're the kind of things that they're intangible to the end product, but you know they're making a difference in the system.
And if that is important in your food choices, the product tastes better because of it.
I've never looked at how much pork is in my pork because I just
you're buying pork.
Yeah, it should be in my head. It's always 100%.
Price-wise, the Asda Just Essentials, £4.83 per kilo. We'll do this per kilo so it's nice and easy for both. Whereas the Daylesford is £35.33 per kilo. So £6.50 for the pack versus £1.45 for the pack. The packs are different weights.
Can we eat it now to see if it's worth that difference? Or?
So you've both got the first one correct. Let's move on to round two.
You're kidding me! Ridiculous video.
Round number 2, lift the cloche.
Oh, we got ourselves a bacon sarnie on the way.
Excellent work, Evers.
Right.
Number 3 going to be brown sauce.
Now, same rules apply, but A and B, what are you looking for in white sliced bread?
Well, I would say that I don't feel like you've gone cheapest of the cheap on the white bread that we have in front of us.
No.
But you do want sponginess.
Okay.
There's a crust.
There is a crust.
There's a crust. They are very different experiences. I'm just going to say they are very different experiences.
I couldn't be more confident on this one because I recently have upped my bread game at home down to, again, similar to the pork one, was as little ingredients used as possible to make the bread, because I used to love cheap white bread at home.
It has a place.
It has a fantastic place. That and just some salted butter is sensational.
Literally best thing since sliced bread.
But then since reading the back of the packet and realising how many ingredients they go into making basic white bread, I was a little bit haunted by it. So we've upped our game a little bit and now go premium bread nearly all the time.
And that's because of preservatives, right? So it's like, how do we make this loaf of bread last a week? I prefer a lovely seeded bread.
So do I, but Hayley likes plain white bread. So best of both.
Yeah.
Or best of both.
Best of both. 50-50.
There's lots of preconceptions. You may already have strong and correct opinions. But how do you think they will? Behave when we cook them? Because that's what this is all about.
They're already cooked.
What you're looking for is twice cooked bread, I think.
The cheaper bread will cook a lot quicker because it has a lot higher sugar content.
You're right. Some breads, both in the UK and especially in other parts of the world, can be sweetened and have added sugar. Neither of these have sugar in them.
Ooh.
Oh, interesting.
Pop a slice into each slot. Off you go. Ooh. From sight alone, what are you looking for in good bread?
Ideally, I think this is the tricky bit, because I think it comes down to your toaster as well as coming down to the bread. But I'd love an even toast, and that doesn't happen very often. You always get bits that are browner, or one side is more burnt than the other side.
What you're looking for is a well aerated and even crumb. If it's not that, some parts might cook quicker, but I think that's more toaster than not. The Chorleywood bread process is a process invented decades ago to simplify and speed up mass production of sliced bread. So the whole process, the proof, the kneading could happen, and the baking in a matter of hours. One thing that is similar on both is that they both use fortified wheat flour. And this is now a legal requirement in the UK that all wheat flour must be fortified with calcium carbonate, iron, B1 and B3.
Dom, did you get that?
No. We'll fake it for you. Ready?
Whoa!
That's good. Right, straight. What did I say?
One has toasted far more than the other.
B, I would go for another toast, not just a little bit more.
No, that is double. That is double.
Double toast.
Whereas that is done.
Before we can talk much more, I need you to lock in your answer, A or B. Pick the premium. You've both locked in an answer. I think the pair of you and probably everyone watching has a fairly good idea. Pick the premium in 3, 2, 1.
Bread.
Correct.
Yes! Jason! This is the bread I buy at home.
So A is Sainsbury's toasty thick sliced white bread. B is Jason's sourdough white ciabatta bread. So it's a family baker award winning, and it's a 24-hour ferment and bake using a mother sourdough. So it has that sourdough-esque sort of tang and nature to it as well. You're dead right, Baz. The ingredients list is minimal. Wheat flour has to be fortified by law. Water, you don't technically need to put on as an ingredient, but is often there. Salt, and then the starter, which is made from flour and water. So basically just flour and salt. Whereas, in order to make the toasty thick slice, you do have the fortified wheat, water, yeast, salt, same ingredients, but also spirit vinegar, rapeseed oil, calcium propionate, soya flour, a number of emulsifiers, mono and tartric acid esters of mono and I can't even read these words, mono and diglycerides of fatty acids, palm fat, and the flour treatment agent is ascorbic acid and palm oil.
Bread is the thing I eat the most. I have at least a couple of slices every day. So, and I know that this bread is a lot more expensive, but if I'm doing it every single day, make sure it's the good stuff. Make sure it's stuff that ingredients that you know.
So obviously the Jason sourdough, our premium option, is more expensive. Other things that go into that, it is premium Canadian wheat flour. It's a much longer process, 24 hours of ferment rather than a few hours of processing quick bread. But the cheaper loaf is 75 pence a loaf, or 90 pence per kilo. And Jason sourdough is £2 per pack, or £3.40 per kilo. So it's about 3.5 times the price.
Yeah.
There is no denying that is a better bread. It's a better experience, and it's probably the kind of price that you should be paying for bread if you can. However, ultra processed foods have somehow been found a way to become cheaper, last longer, be more accessible to more people.
But then I think it's about sometimes looking back at your shopping list and working out when you are using processed foods, what you eat the most of, and where to make those switches. Because again, on your overall weekly shopping budget, £4 is not a lot of money for a couple of loaves compared to £1.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Want to put some bacon in that and have a munch?
Hallelujah! Finally.
Right, let's do number 3. Number 3, lift the cloche.
Whoa, okay.
Chickeny bits.
Both plates are British chicken thighs, skin on. One of them, by our definition of just more expensive, is premium. First of all, initial thoughts and reactions.
They're big.
They are big.
Big thighs.
They're big thighs. You a thigh man?
Yeah, I don't cook them very much, I'd have to say, thighs. Unless I'm doing like a curry or something like that and I want the extra flavour, but they're not my go-to. I always still go to breast.
A grilled thigh is unbelievable. The little gnarly bits, but deboned. Okay. Can't see the meat very clearly, but skin-wise, there's one has a corn-fed look to it.
Yeah.
You're allowed to use your hands if you do want to look at the meat underneath. But then what I'm going to ask you to do is to place 4 chicken thighs into each drawer of the air fryer, just season with salt and pepper. I'm going to cook them both at the same temperature for the same time, side by side in the air fryer, to see the reaction after 15 minutes.
Have a little look at what we've got going on.
Okay.
That feels like what I would expect around the outside. So as well as the skin being lighter on A, I would say the meat is also lighter.
Also, and A has a glisten, a juicy glisten, whereas B looks firmer.
Eblis, do you want them skin side up or skin side down?
Skin side up, please, so the air part of the air fryer can crisp up the skin, we hope. Now, when you're buying fresh chicken, all chicken, but chicken thigh, It shouldn't smell funky or farmyardy. It might even smell slightly like almost a sweet aroma, which is a slightly odd thing to say about raw chicken. And it's okay for it to have a natural shine, but it shouldn't be slimy.
Again, go to the supermarket, you pick up your avocados or your melons, you give them a good squeeze and a sniff. I never think it's the same with thighs and chicken breasts.
We should stress, one of these is more premium than the other, but even the cheaper option is considered grade A by this retailer, so it's still free of any blood or bruising or blemishes. Jay's going to set both those to the same temperature, 200 degrees Celsius. I'm going to give it 15 minutes, and then we'll come back. Any noticeable differences in how they have behaved, what's come out of them, or what they now look like?
I would say B looks crispier on the skin. I think it's a bit darker on the skin, but it was also a bit darker when it went in as well.
Also, the chicken fat that has come out of B is nearly all fat, whereas it seems to be 50% fat, 50% water in A.
Should I get some out?
Now again, we're not looking at taste here, but I do want you to cut into it, see the difference in the meat, not just the skin.
Who looks at taste?
We're not studying taste, looking at.
A looks a lot juicier and a lot wetter, even though it did eke out a lot of the water and fat into the pan.
So lock in A or B on your boards. Which do you think is the premium? Both locked in an answer?
Yeah.
To pick the premium, reveal it in 3, 2, 1.
B.
B.
You've both said B.
Yeah.
The one that appeared to be a slightly yellower, more corn-fed diet.
Yes, but also now that it's cooked, I still think the crisping up of the skin, it just looks more attractive.
Well, I can reveal that you're both absolutely correct. B is the premium. So A, remember, it's still Class A, Ocado British chicken thighs. So Class A means it's likely to be plump, it's likely to be free of any defects, and is still barn-raised chicken, which has natural daylight, bales, perches, so they can express natural behaviour, and is Red Track certified. So it still has levels of control and assurance within it.
Good chicken.
Whereas B is M&S's Select Farms British free-range chicken thighs, and M&S last year won the best retailer for animal welfare in the UK. And in particular, it's the free-range option, so even higher quality than...
They've got swings.
Seesaws.
And playgrounds, yeah.
However, the likelihood is that a free-range animal is going to have worked its muscle more, it's going to have walked around more, and therefore that denser muscle will often need longer time to cook because it's just dense muscle and can be tougher, albeit with better flavour.
We can't eat this again, can we?
Should we move on to number 4?
Yes, please.
Number 4, lift the cloche.
Unrecognisable tin. Premium. Comes with a ring pull.
What?
Every time I buy a cheap can or something, it hasn't got a ring pull.
I don't think that's how it works.
But it just annoys me.
But sometimes
so
you pay
much.
more for the convenience.
2 tins of tomatoes, and it's going to be very difficult for you to pay any observations till we get into them, although Barry already has. All we're going to ask you to do is tip a tin into each saucepan, along with an equal amount of seasoning, garlic, dried oregano, and olive oil, and simmer for 10 minutes.
Have you done? Isn't that?
You're using the tin
using it
opener the
wrong.
wrong way round.
No, you're not. You can use it.
you are.
No, you're not. You can use it any way you wish.
No, look how
Hey,
delicate
you're
that is.
using it
Dave.
left-handed.
There's nothing. That's how I open tins at home.
Look how
Wow.
jagged and dangerous that is.
No, but look, that's magnetised to that. That's what that's meant for.
Look.
You can do it either way. It doesn't make a difference.
What do you mean it doesn't make a difference?
It doesn't make a difference.
Look at this one.
No, but this has got a ring pulse. It makes
It's exactly
no,
the same.
It makes no
Okay,
difference at
fine.
all.
Tell you what,
No.
once we've emptied these tins, I'm going to rub this on your skin.
Yeah.
I'm going to rub that on your skin,
okay,
and then I'm
nick
going to rub
one.
that one on your skin.
Yeah, great.
Wow. I've known you for 27
Right.
years. I didn't realise how big of an idiot you were when it came to opening tins.
No, sorry.
Comment down below, do you prefer Barry's hacked version or Jamie's correct version? Any observations about what's in the tin? The shape, the size, texture, the colour, the shine, all of those things we're looking at.
Big plums.
Big plums, thick sauce. The first one. Oh, it's wet.
oh.
Seedy.
I would say a mixture of
Oh, I'd say you get more plum in there. I'd say you get more.
big plums and little plums, though.
Yeah.
And the sauce definitely seems wetter.
We'll give those 10 minutes or so to bubble and simmer away, but straight out of the tin, cold. Any observations?
The consistency of the size of the plum tomatoes in A and the viscosity of the sauce was more viscous. It was thicker in A than it was in B. There was less consistency in B in terms of the size of the tomatoes. Also, interestingly, all of the plum tomatoes in A maintained, they were full. They were unbroken. They were complete, whereas there are a couple of broken ones in B.
Yeah. Well, I wonder, does that matter in tomato sauce?
In this instance, A are Italian peeled tomatoes and B are chopped tomatoes. So there is an element of the tomato content having been chopped.
That's
Okay.
different.
So hence why it's wetter, seedier, because they've been broken up.
There is almost 9 times the difference in price.
Oh, that's hard. I'd say that A looks posher because of the thick, darker sauce, but I don't know if that's.
My gut says A is the premium.
Yeah.
For the first time in this video, I want you to just have a little taste of each. And the reason being, I'm interested to know whether the tomatoes taste sweeter, more tomatoey from A to B.
Oh, okay.
That's your A.
Okay, thank you.
My A. Cheers.
Deliberately very simple. We've not messed with the flavouring. A little bit of garlic, a little bit of oregano, some seasoning.
Cheers.
2 tomato sauces, A and B. They've simmered for the same amount of time. What, if anything, has changed?
Yeah, I'd say B looks like a fresher tomato. A looks like a passata mix almost.
With big plums in it.
Grab your boards, see if you can lock in A or B. Pick the premium.
Can't eat it.
Where's it
Remember what programme
Where's
we're
it
in?
earlier? This is the first one that I think you stumped me.
Picking the premium in 3, 2, 1.
B.
What?
I just feel like this could be the first curveball. I think B looks fresher and more vibrant.
I can reveal that the tin tomatoes that are the premium are A.
Well done for trying to find some conflict in this video.
I
However,
take a pun.
Your gut was better than your punt, Barry, because right at the front, the one with the ring pull, the production costs of a can with a ring pull are fractionally more expensive. So if you're cutting all costs, a can without a ring pull will be slightly cheaper. But A is Muti, San Marzano Italian peeled tomato. So just 2 ingredients in the tin, whole peeled San Marzano tomatoes and San Marzano tomato juice. Whereas B is Tesco Growers Harvest chopped tomatoes, 60% tomato, concentrated tomato juice around it, plus acidity regulator, so they add citric acid to give it a bit of a tang and a bit of a lift. The cheaper option, the Tesco Growers Harvest chopped tomatoes, 45 pence per tin, whereas the Muti San Marzano Italian peeled tomatoes, £3.90 per tin, almost 9 times as expensive.
but is it 9 times better depending on where you use it? Maybe. Maybe
Yeah,
not.
I'd say if you're making a pizza and you want a good tomato base, it makes sense. Or any meal that is mainly tomato based,
Yeah.
the hero ingredient, spend your money. If it's bulking out something, you can go cheaper because it's not 9 times worse.
This is why I love these videos, because they make me think about what I do
Yeah.
and what I say and what I buy, and realizing that as a human, we are all probably quite imperfect.
On reflection, of the 4 that we've done, even though I liked the posher one nearly on every occasion, I think I only buy the posh bread and stick to the cheaper ones the others in my everyday shop.
I would go, because we love doing extremes in these types of videos, I would go for the cheaper tomatoes,
Yeah.
but I'd go for the cheaper chicken, but I would go for more middle of the road bacon, posh bread.
Posh bread.
Over to you guys, comment down below. What did you think about the cooking element of these Pick the Premium ingredients?